Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, this is going to be the first stimulus check update. I'm also going to include the next stimulus check update. And I want to give you some good news and bad news with both. So we're going to get to that in just a second. So lately there's been a lot of changes, both good and bad, happening in the Senate. Talks, negotiations. There really hasn't been a whole lot of negotiations, but we've been hearing word from different camps that certain things are going on. So the nice thing is that we are starting to get a clearer picture as to what we can expect for the next possible stimulus check and stimulus package. But the first thing I want to address is the good news. Okay, obviously the great news is that more and more people are starting to receive their initial $1,200 stimulus check. So because of that, I think that's awesome. That's great. I'm glad these people are finally getting their money that the government promised them over a month ago. So I'm glad they're finally getting it. So that's good news. So one of the things I talked about in yesterday's video, which I'll link to down in the description box below, is how you can check to see if you're going to receive a paper check or you're going to receive a stimulus debit card. So if you didn't get a chance to see that video, again, I'll link to it down in the description box below so that you can go and watch it. But the reason why I bring this up is because some people are receiving a letter from the government saying, hey, we sent you your stimulus check, your economic impact payment of whatever amount, and they never received the payment though. So if that's the case and that's you're in that kind of group, I recommend calling the IRS or figuring out really where is your check, where was it supposed to go, and how can I figure out, did it actually go to the bank? Did the bank cancel it? Did they not actually accept the payment, or what's going on there? So that's one thing I would do. The next good news, I'll get to the bad news in a second. The next good news is we're having a clearer idea as to a timeline for our next stimulus package. Okay, so this is just an update on the second stimulus check, when it could be coming. But what we now know is that the Senate doesn't plan to really get into talks or negotiations until the middle of June. So we're about 2 weeks away from them really getting into the negotiations. The reason why this is good news is because we now have a timeline. Now this is also bad news, but the reason why it's good news is because they're giving us a timeline. This hasn't come out the mouths of many people, but there is word from a few individuals that they don't plan on really doing anything for a couple weeks because they're still going under the approach of let's wait and see. All right, so just want to be clear with that is they are still planning on meeting, they are still planning on negotiating. There probably won't be a bill passed until the end of June or the first part of July, which means if we do get a second stimulus check, whether it's $1,200 or more or even less, it probably won't happen until the first to middle of July. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Next good news, the second stimulus package is very likely. Okay, second stimulus check. Now here's the reason why I mention this and why this is good news. Because a lot of people need the money. They need it now. Which is the bad part is it's probably not coming for at least another month. But the reason why this is good news is because, for one, Donald Trump was one of the biggest reasons why we got the initial stimulus check, the initial $1,200. And they just pushed it through very quickly. Now they've had time to wait, see what that initial $1,200 has actually done to the economy. Has it really impacted us? Has it been a negative impact? Really, where are we at there? So the reason why I say this is good news is because Donald Trump has also stated that he's not opposed to a second stimulus check to the American people. So because of that, and being that he is one of the people that are actually advocating for this, the nice thing is it will probably happen. How much it's going to be, we don't know yet, but the good news is it is very likely. Now let's get to the bad news. Now, normally I have a big sheet of paper, okay, a big notepad. Today I have a small sheet, and it's because there's not a whole lot of updates, but on top of that, there's not a whole lot of new stuff that is really fun to talk about. So I'm not going to do it. Okay, but let's get to the bad news. I just got 3 things right here. Then I will explain kind of what you should be expecting moving forward with the Senate, with possible stimulus checks and everything like that. So the first bad news is the $1,200 stimulus check is most likely going to be the top end of what we could potentially receive. So what I mean by that is that $1,500, $2,000, $5,000 stimulus check that some people were reporting on, that's false. The $1,200 stimulus check is probably going to be the highest it will be. Now, it will most likely be $1,200 to every individual, not $1,200 to the adults, $500 to dependents under the age of 17. That's probably not what's going to be. It will be $1,200 flat to everybody. Now, the reason why this is bad news is because $1,200, and I know a lot of you guys have mentioned this in the past, $1,200 is not enough. $1,200 will just cover my rent, my mortgage, my car payments, my insurance, put food on the table, just partial, bills. So because of that, it's not a great update. It's not a great thing to hear, but that's most likely what it's going to be, is $1,200. If it is that, most likely it could be even less. Okay, just keep that in mind. The next bad news: there's going to be no recurring payments. So you're probably thinking, $1,200 isn't bad as long as you get it for like 2 or 3 months. No, $1,200 is going to be it. That's going to be it. Nothing more. $1,200 one time, just like we did in the first stimulus check. It's going to be an additional $1,200. That's all you get. But here's the bad thing, and here's the reason why this is bad news, is because when you put it with the good news that now we have a timeline, and additionally we kind of know what the check is going to be, $1,200. Here's the reason why this is bad. Because the longer we wait to finally receive that check, the longer the Senate waits to negotiate and determine what the bill is going to be and what's actually going to be in it, the longer that happens, the less likely we have a chance of receiving a higher payment. Okay, something bigger than $1,200. And that's huge because most people need more than $1,200. Most people would be fine with $2,000. Most people would be great with $2,500. But when it's just $1,200, it's just not enough, especially to those people that are single, do not have any dependents, and they only get $1,200. It's just not enough. For people like, for example, my wife and I, we got 3 kids. Okay, so if we get $1,200 for every single child, up to 3, and my wife and I would get $1,200 as well, that would be $6,000 for my family. That's more than enough. Okay, we're not in dire need of money, but that's more than enough to cover us for multiple months for our bills. So because of that, that's great for us. But what about the people that only are individuals? Okay, they're not married. Okay, they don't have any dependents. They pay for a $1,500 apartment in the city. What happens to those people, right? So that's why that's bad news, is because now we know that it's less likely to happen the longer we wait. And as states open up, people go back to work. So that's one of the bad things. Here's the other reason why, or the other bad news as far as what we know now in today's stimulus check update, is that there's most likely going to be a back to work stimulus bonus. And that is going to be something that's added to a possible stimulus check. So we could potentially get a $450 per week stimulus bonus to go along with going back to work. But that only applies if we go back to work. Also, that when we get that bonus, that might also contradict the government giving us, or the Senate agreeing that, hey, let's give them a $1,200 stimulus check as well. So I know you're probably thinking, okay, so what is actually happening? What should I expect moving forward? What you should expect moving forward is there's going to be a lot of moving parts. Most likely, I'll be giving you a stimulus check update over the next, probably not in the next few days, but probably starting next week, moving forward until they really start negotiating. There's going to be a lot of talks about, it could potentially be this, it could potentially be that. And with every change, with their positioning and where they're at, you should expect to change the way that you live. Here's what I mean. If they say, we're going to give everybody $1,200 up to 3 dependents, just like the HEROES Act says right now, so my family and I, we could potentially get $6,000. Cool. But what if they say, no, we're only going to give you $1,200 if you make this amount or less, but you have to have, let's say, they put some type of restriction on it. Let's say you couldn't have made this amount of money, let's say $50,000 or less, right? You get this amount. If you made $50,000 to $100,000, you get this amount. You get $100,000 to $150,000, you get this amount. And so it's really going to help out everybody. But at the same time, if you don't realize what the government's doing and how they're trying to position, then you don't know what to expect moving forward. So that's what I want you to know. I want you to know what you should be expecting from the government, if there's going to be anything at all. And also, what should you do for your livelihood? Should you be saving more money? Should you be investing? Should you be spending your money to help boost the economy? What should you do? And so that's where I really want to help you out. Now, the last thing I just want to say is, if you have any questions as to why you haven't received your first stimulus check, you want more updates on what's going on with that, with SSI or SSDI, with Direct Express, if you have a payee, you need more questions answered there. Ask your questions down in the comment section below, because what I've been doing lately is the questions that you ask in the videos, I will usually do a video pertaining to one of those questions. For example, when will I get it? What to expect? What should I do if I haven't received it? All these things I have addressed in a video because somebody has asked that question. So if you have any questions whatsoever, ask them down in the comment section below and I'll help you out there. So again, thanks for watching today's video. I wanted to do this quick little stimulus check update before I head to the office. I have a bunch of work to do before the weekend. Hopefully you do as well. So I wanted to do this, shooting it from home. Just make sure I get this out there so that you guys know what's going on before the weekend hits. So if you're worried, you're wondering, hey, where's my stimulus check? They are coming. People are receiving them, which is the good news. So again, if you have any questions, ask your questions down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's video and you learned something, smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys on the next one.